This is the Marc Cox Show.
And it's a classic example, Sean, of an exchange. You have the Clintons making and getting all this money, and the Russians getting a benefit in return, which is the uranium. You also have the Skokovo-Tex transfer arrangement. So there's a clear exchange, and yet there's not this outcry to actually investigate this. If the name were Trump instead of Clinton, I would support investigation, and I think a lot of other people would too.
That's Peter Schweitzer, in case you hadn't heard that, talking about the long list of connections between the Clintons and Russia, not to even mentioning the Uranium One deal specifically, the long list of connections between the Clintons and China, where there's evidence of pay to play and money being donated to the DNC back in the 90s. All of that seems to be forgotten when you hear people like Adam Schiff, who I want to reach through the TV screen and throttle sometimes, talking about clear evidence of collusion. There is no clearer evidence of collusion than there were in the two cases I just mentioned, and nothing ever happened, which is why I would strongly support them to go back and restart the investigation looking into Hillary Clinton and all of the problems that we have there. So that's where I am with it.
They did it too. Prosecutions never go anywhere, but that's just my...
The what prosecutions?
They did it too. Prosecutions never go anywhere. So,
well, it's too late now on those. I'm imagining, but I'm just saying the level of outrage from the left over some of this is there's just no comparison.
Yeah, I'm just a firm believer that when you're having serious problems of your own, the best thing to do is try to focus on your problems and try to resolve that, and then try to focus on other people's problems and say they did it too. I mean, I'm a supporter of this White House. I've told you that. But, they need to start focusing on the health care bill, on taxes, get away from the distractions of these tweets. We mentioned during the break Jared Kushner's testimony. Testifying behind closed doors and your testimony is not sworn is just going to create more questions than answers. I don't see any benefit from that.
True words spoken from a political consultant. See, folks, you have to understand the value of this. If you hired him to bring him into your office to tell you that, he'd charge you $150 an hour.
$149.
Oh, is it $149? I'm sorry. That's just what I was thinking. Can I just tell you the
But did it make sense though, Mark? A little. Just
no. I understand. I understand where you're coming from on that. I don't think. This is another thing Donald Trump campaigned on. It's another reason he got elected. He got elected to end Obamacare. He got elected to put a wall up and stop immigration on the southern border. In large part, he's been brutally effective at that when you look at how the numbers have dropped on the southern border. But when it comes to accomplishing the other parts of his agenda, he's completely stymied by the establishment. Who's part of the establishment? Well, the media is part of the establishment. The Democrats are part of the establishment. The Republicans are part of the establishment. He probably sees calling for an investigation of Clinton a way to kind of jab them all a little bit because the Clintons are part of the establishment. I don't know. He's a master tactician. I wouldn't ever underestimate his ability to get under their skin a little bit. In other words, if you don't back off me a little bit, guess what we're about to do? We're going to open that can of worms again.
He may be a master tactician, and I agree with that, but my whole thing is, why just make your mission, your task, so much harder than it has to be?
Well, you could ask that from the very beginning of his campaign, right? From the day he came down the escalator at Trump Tower and announced that he was running for president. But it started pretty much immediately.
But everyone knows that you're unconventional and you're going to be a different kind of president, and it worked during the campaign and stuff. But it's time to just be a little bit conventional, and just try to get things done, because before you know it, six months have passed, and then a year have passed, and then 2 years, and then before you know it, the term is almost up, and you haven't gotten anything accomplished.
But now he's got Scaramucci. Yeah. He's brought in the beef now, right? Even though the guy's not real tall, he's brought in the beef.
Brought to you by Bill Thomas Camper Sales.
What was that? I said he was short, but I didn't need the short list.
I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, will you do the fandango?
Very nice. Did you try that on Siri? Like if you have Siri and you see in your best Queen voice there, I see a little silhouette of a man, and you stop, Siri will complete the rest of Bohemian Rhapsody for you. It's awesome.
I don't, when Scaramucci was hired or whatever, I saw all these references to Fandango, and I thought maybe that name was in a message.
Scaramucci.
Yeah,
Scaramucci.
so
it sounds like it.
Yeah, I'm culturally ignorant.
Do you know how bad
gosh.
that hurt just now? I've been waiting the whole show for you to say that.
To say Scaramucci.
And I hit the wrong one.
Thank you, Kelly Webb. I appreciate the effort that you put into that. That was the timing was perfect on that. I got to have that drop so I can just play it from now on when we talk about anytime we mention Scaramucci, we need to play that drop. Just that simply.
Which is technically pronounced Scaramucci.
Oh, I know.
Not
like
you,
Scarface.
I'm just saying other people.
Are you making a reference to his Italian-American heritage?
No, it's just...
Okay, I'm just saying. You got to be careful
That's just how I know how you pronounce vowels in Spanish and in Italian, and Scaramucci, not
scars and Scarface.
Scaramucci.
You a cockroach. Chris, welcome into the program. You're on the radio.
Hi, Mark.
Hi there.
Can you hear? Oh, hey, I don't like the way President Trump puts people down. Like Jeff Sessions, too decent of a guy to embarrass him like that. But I do think there should be an investigation into Clinton. Ever since I've been watching politics and since the early 80s, the Democrats get away with murder. I mean, they never go against those guys, and there were some that should have been thrown out, but they never were, and the Republicans didn't do anything. And I bet you if they started going after Clinton, they'd quit with Trump's investigation, because that's a bunch of crap.
I wonder if that may not be kind of what's in the back of his mind. I wish he would take it a little easier on Sessions, quite frankly, but that's what made me wonder what the backstory might be there, right?
Right.
So I don't know. Chris, thank you for the phone call.
My whole thing is going after Hillary. I understand, she's crimes you want to go after, but going after Hillary is not going to put any more money in my pocket, cut my taxes. It's not going to build a wall. It's not going to bring peace and prosperity to America, putting the Clintons in jail.
Speaking of money,
yes.
When I'm doing show research today, and all the clickbait now on the side around all the web pages. Every page I went to just about had a picture of OJ Simpson. One of them today said OJ Simpson will get to keep the $600,000 he made while he was in jail. I'm guessing that's from his $25,000 a year salary from the NFL. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Why would you want to? I didn't click on it.
He got I think his pension was like $100,000 a year from that.
Somebody reported the other day it was just 25.
Oh, okay, it might have changed, but I thought it was more than that.
I just remember at the time when they filed the civil suit against him that he couldn't that the Goldmans couldn't get access to his pension, but any other assets he had were fair game.
OJ didn't do it.
Didn't do what? Didn't rob those people?
He didn't murder Nicole.
Oh, come on.
He didn't do it.
You don't believe that?
I don't.
Really?
There was a book that came out. I hope I have enough time so people don't think I'm completely
If I
nuts.
Did It. That was OJ's book.
No. There was another book. There was an investigative reporter did a book on this. He went to a storage locker that OJ's son had and abandoned. In it, they found a similar knife that they thought hacked these people to death. They showed a Polaroid picture of OJ's son having the same type of knit cap that they found at this crime scene. OJ's son was a chef. And when they're saying that, Nicole's head was almost cut off because it was such a savage cut, and they were saying it was somebody that was familiar with knives. O.J. Simpson's son clocked in that night of the murders but didn't clock out. And then the last piece of evidence to me is O.J.'s son was on this psychotropic drug because he's got a mental illness that makes you very violent and prone to outbursts, and he wasn't taking that prescription medicine. I think OJ...
Did it discuss what his motive might have been to kill his stepmother?
There was something where maybe they had a love affair or a twist or something. Look, you've seen these football players, and especially a running back, 10 years. I just don't think OJ had the knees or the stamina to hack those people to death like that. And the one thing that never made sense to me, let me just put this point out, is when they hacked those people to death, there was blood everywhere, all around the scene. How in the world did OJ not track blood all in his Bronco? It was 3 drops of blood after all of that blood everywhere. How did he not track blood all over the Bronco?
Shower? It was raining that night.
3 drops of blood. That's all.
I don't know. Is that? Did they suggest that's why OJ's DNA was found at the scene? Because it was actually his son's DNA? Is that what you're getting at? I'm
a little suspicious when one of the detectives is carrying around a vial of OJ's blood, and we're finding sprinkles of blood on socks. Sprinkles of blood in the truck.
Now we're planting evidence.
That was a theory a long time ago.
I get back to what his defense attorney said the other day. We played it on the air. He said we didn't get O.J. Simpson off the murder trial. The prosecution blew the case. They had plenty of evidence to convict him, and they just blew the case.
Detective Van Adder admitted, if you remember, that he did not follow police procedure and was carrying around a vial of blood in his pocket at the crime scene.
If the glove don't fit, you must acquit. That's why he got off.
And because he was black and had a black jury.
You think that's it?
Yeah.
Because of Rodney King.
Keeping it real,
the one
man.
guy said you couldn't convict a black guy in L.A. after the Rodney King incident.
I'm just keeping it real with that.
All right. Chris Arps, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Now we got a whole new O.J. theory floating out there.
Read the book. I don't know the name of it, but there's a book.
I did. If I did it.
An investigative reporter did this book.
I got to run. Chris, thank you. Up next, we're going to talk about the Metro controversy in St. Louis County cops with Gabe Crocker. We'll be right back.